What's up YouTube, Joseph All Trades here, and today I'm talking about Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and I thought it was great. I don't want to give away any spoilers at all, so I'm not going to give any specifics in this review. I'm sorry if that disappoints you, but I want to keep things as generic as possible, so if you haven't seen it, you can still watch it first time with no spoilers. That being said, I'm getting into it. Now, I just saw this film yesterday, and after simmering on it for a couple days, I think this film was fantastic. It was probably even better than Star Wars The Force Awakens. Now let me explain myself on that. I did like Star Wars The Force Awakens, but to me the big thing is that The Force Awakens, as far as the fun in it, a lot of it came from the homage that it played to the original trilogy. The visuals were very similar, the situational humor was similar, thematically the films were very similar, and Rogue One was just a different take on the Star Wars franchise. I mean, don't get me wrong, it definitely fit in, and there were similarities, of course, but I'm saying that the strengths of Rogue One came from the contrast to the other films and came from the differences and the subtleties. And there's a really fine balance there, but that's what Rogue One did so well. It created a contrast that was subtly different from the rest of the films and gave us a unique account of a specific story without really breaking continuity of Star Wars as a whole. Rogue One accomplished this in several ways, but probably the first and most notable way was in the soundtrack. I mean, the music of Star Wars is probably the most iconic thing about the franchise. If you ask anyone, they know the Star Wars theme songs, they know the themes for each character, and notably, that was absent from Rogue One. A lot of the songs that I expected to be in this movie just weren't there, and there were situations where a character would come in and I would anticipate a certain theme and we'd get music that was kind of similar, like there was a semblance definitely, but it wasn't what we're used to hearing. It was sort of like when a band puts out like their greatest hits album and you listen to it and there's always like a few songs on there that you thought you were a fan but you've never heard before, but it definitely fits in with the rest of their music, and that's how all the music in Rogue One was. It was definitely Star Wars-esque, it definitely had all the characteristics we're used to hearing. It was just different, and I thought in a good way. The second thing that I noticed about Star Wars Rogue One is that the tone of the film was a little bit more modern and slightly darker. We're used to seeing the protagonists in Star Wars act in very altruistic ways and thinking of the collective and doing things that are great for everyone. In Rogue One, though, we see the characters acting definitely as individuals, and their choices are a little bit more selfish, and not in a way that we fault them for, but in a way that we understand and just makes sense. I felt like the war scenes in this movie also were like a little bit more brutal. It was turned up just a little bit from what we're used to in the Star Wars franchise. There were typical instances where characters would get shot multiple times. There was at least one stormtrooper I saw that died from like sharp object trauma, although of course there's no blood on screen, but it was just a little bit more jarring in the war scenes. On that same topic, Rogue One really got the war scenes right because the rebels are fighting in more of an organized, like guerrilla style warfare as far as the tactics go. And in the past Star Wars movies, we're used to seeing like Han Solo just standing completely in the open shooting from the hip. So Rogue One was much more believable, and I'm giving a big shout out to everyone who was involved, both as far as the cast and acting and the production, because the choreography of these scenes was very well done, written, and executed. Thirdly, I just love Ben Mendelsohn. Like, I watch Mississippi Grind religiously. I watch it all the time. I probably watched it in the past month. And he does very well in this movie. Mendelsohn plays director Orson Krennic, who's a mid-level executive inside the Empire, and he's really a guy with some ambition. Rogue One shows him as a person making individual choices, trying to advance his career, and it develops someone in the Empire as a way that us as the audience, we don't really sympathize with it, but it's something we definitely do understand and relate to, and I appreciate that much more than him just being another faceless officer in the Empire that we're used to seeing. And this idea really extends to the entire acting cast. I mean, Felicity Jones was great, Donnie Yen was great, Riz Ahmed was great. They all did a great job acting, and the characters were also written in such a way that we understand them as individuals with a rational amount of self-interest that at times came before the big picture war ideas that the rebel fighters are associated with. Probably the only grievance that I had with this film is that there's a couple times where there's like some motivational scenes, a character is saying something that should be really inspirational and really touching, and it just didn't connect with me. I've only seen it once, so I don't know if it was the acting, maybe it was the music, maybe it was the reaction shots from the other characters, but I could tell that something important was happening on screen, and for me emotionally, nothing was happening at all. But that's really the most critical thing I can say about Rogue One. I don't give out 10s like Godfather 2, Citizen Kane. No, those aren't 10s. I reserve 10s for something very special. So Rogue One doesn't get a 10, but it gets like 8.5 or 9. It was phenomenal, and I think if you're going to check out a movie, you should really check out Rogue One. Even if you're not a Star Wars fan, you're going to appreciate this film and enjoy it. I know that I missed a lot in my first viewing of Rogue One, so I want to go see this movie again. It was that good. That's all I got for now, though. I'll see y'all next time. If you enjoyed my video, hit the like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see y'all later. Bye, y'all.